California, Mr. Huffman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and my thanks to the witnesses. Secretary Jewell, it's good to see you again, and I want to start by thanking you for the historic designation of our newest national monument in my district on the Mendocino County coast. I think this committee and this House did good work. I don't know why we didn't see progress in the Senate, but I'm glad that you agreed with me that the people of Mendocino and the people all over that are going to benefit from this shouldn't have to wait. I was on the Mendocino coast just this week on Monday, and I can tell you that the folks in the Point Arena area are already seeing a tremendous uptick in tourism, and they're projecting as much perhaps as a 25% increase in the tourism economy, which is so very important to the people I represent. So thank you again for that. Continuing on this issue of land conservation, I also want to thank you for the President's commitment in the budget to the Land and Water Conservation Fund. Like you, I believe that this is a fund that's already paid for, not with tax dollars, but with oil and gas revenues, and it's time to honor the bargain that was made when Congress put that fund into place. So I wonder if you could just share your perspective on what makes the Land and Water Conservation Fund so different and worthy of dedicated funding so that this funding that was essentially part of a bargain, the oil and gas industry, doesn't continue to languish.
Thank you so much for the question, and also it has been really fun to be out in the Point Arena Stornetta Public Lands and see the incredible enthusiasm and dedicated volunteer service on the part of your constituents to really make that special. Land and Water Conservation Fund has been used in every county across the country to purchase lands or to lay down conservation easements that are important to people in local communities. The stateside program is matched with state monies, and it helps local communities say, this is an area that's really special that we want to set aside, and will you help us, federal government? And it's been used very, very successfully for almost 50 years. We have inholdings where we have willing sellers of land, whether it's a landlocked area within a national park, and the Land and Water Conservation Fund enables us to satisfy that willing seller and provide a contiguous landscape that's actually cheaper to manage and not more expensive to manage. The Everglades headwaters, the Crown of the Continent area, and many, many other areas where hunters and fishermen want access to their favorite fishing hole are facilitated through the Land and Water Conservation Fund through conservation easements. And I've been with many ranchers across the country who want their ranches to stay in ranch land that understand the benefit of how they use the land for conservation, and LWCF helps them maintain that future for their families while also setting land aside for conservation.
Great. Well, thank you very much. And Deputy Secretary Connor, congratulations on your confirmation. It's good to see you. I appreciate your earlier answer to the question on the California drought, and I just want to follow up a bit on that. I want to commend you for being thoughtful about this and recognizing, I trust, that the protections in the biological opinions for salmon and smelt also protect downstream people, farmers who need good water quality, communities that depend on water that's not too salty to provide as drinking water to their residents, and the salmon economy, which has existed for a long, long time, and which is an important part of our heritage and our economy, especially in the district I represent. So those protections are very important to us, and the truth is you've got some tough balancing to do in this historic drought. Mother Nature has dealt us all quite a challenge, but I think we need to acknowledge that right now you were striking that balance in favor of waiving biological opinion protections and increased pumping and water deliveries in the Delta. You mentioned that you've got an aggressive monitoring program underway, and I would like to hear more about that, how your department intends to make sure that these lifeline protections for the salmon that my residents, my constituents depend on, are not being put in jeopardy, that the species is not on the brink of extinction because of those decisions. And then a related point, I represent the people of Humboldt County and the Hoopa tribe, which has a 50,000 acre-foot statutory and contractual right from the Trinity unit of the Central Valley Project. We have been asking for years, going back to my predecessor, Mike Thompson, whether the Bureau intends to honor that right. We have been asked to be patient, that answers are forthcoming. I just wanted to let you know that our patience does have limits, and I would like you to tell us where we stand on that, please.
Yes, so with respect to the first question in monitoring of the fish species, early on, because of the nature of the drought, and you're absolutely right, we have got a tough balancing act. We're looking at water supply, we're looking at fisheries protection, we're looking at controlling salinity in the delta, which is all important, and we're looking towards next year if this drought continues. And those are the 4 areas that we're focused on. Because of the expectation that we would have to very closely look at the operational criteria with respect to the pumps, State Water Project, Central Valley Project, we instituted, we had a fund transfers of about $120,000, $140,000 so we could increase monitoring in the delta of delta smelt. That has helped us find some new populations and given some comfort to some of the actions we're taking. Same thing with respect to the salmon species at issue. Overall, we've done some acoustic tag and particle tracking that has helped us monitor. We've increased that with on-the-ground surveys as we made operational changes early in the year, and we've got to simply increase that. That's going to be the key for us understanding the nature of the adjustments that we make this year, and it'll add value as we interpret the biological opinions and apply them in future years. So we're trying to continue to improve our data and monitoring, and we need to do more, quite frankly.
The time of the gentleman has expired. The gentleman from California, Mr. McClintock, is recognized.